Back in Manchester, and we are looking forward to India versus West Indies on Thursday. Apart from New Zealand, India, the only unbeaten side in the tournament. And of course, New Zealand are playing Pakistan as we speak. So anything could happen, really. So India would like to continue building on this momentum. 2 points here will get them to 11. Still not enough to make it to the semis, depending on what other teams are doing, not doing. But it will get them closer to that knockout stage, get them closer, keep their winning momentum going. But before we dive down into the what's happening in India West Indies encounter here, the big news, Aditya, is that Chris Gayle has made a U-turn on his retirement announcement, and he said that he will be available not just for T20s, not just for ODIs, for all three formats of the game when India tour the Caribbean immediately after the World Cup. So that is something to look forward to, but we'll talk more about that. First of all, looking back to India and their less than comfortable win against Afghanistan in Southampton. The issues were there and underlined by Afghanistan, that middle order.
Absolutely. And the most alarming factor of that innings, India won the game and everything. But again, it kind of shows that, when you're probably not expecting the opponent to come out all guns blazing, that is probably where India's middle order might show that little creakiness, you can say. I mean, the spinners, Mujib, Rashid, good spinners, but, having faced these guys in the IPL, you would expect India to... And again, history has it, India are like one of the best players against spin. They produce good players against spin. But yeah, so it's happened, kind of time and time again with, India with the middle order still not probably, still some distance away from being at their best. And that again kind of, throws the responsibility on the top three. I mean, you would expect the top three to do it 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 times. But those 2 times where probably, you endure a top order failure, what next? Big question, MS Dhoni, again, slightly slow. I mean, that could have, you can look at it from a brighter point of view that it was because of his innings, that he held the innings together, that India were able to post 225. But yeah, I think in this game against West Indies, I shouldn't think the middle order should face much of a problem because West Indies don't really have too many spinners. You got just Ashley Nurse as a specialist spinner, and then Chris Gayle can obviously roll his arm around a little. So I think whatever happens against Afghanistan is done deal, and I think India's middle order might fare slightly better against the West Indies pacers.
Well, talking about this game particularly on Thursday, it'll again happen on a used pitch. This pitch was at the Old Trafford, was used for the West Indies versus New Zealand game. So again, a used pitch, perhaps a little slower in the second innings again. Well, as you rightly pointed out, West Indies' strength is pace, so perhaps the middle order will fare better. And of course, this is a different pitch. Southampton pitch was perhaps the slowest we have seen in this tournament so far. Talking about, various intricacies of team selection, Bhuvneshwar Kumar perhaps still not totally available, and Mohammad Shami is going to feature in the Indian playing 11 once again. The big question mark once again, Vijay Shankar or Rishabh Pant. I think Team India, for this moment, it seems, even from what we've seen in the nets, optional practice today, a full practice on Tuesday. From what we have seen in the practice, it almost seems like they want to continue with Vijay Shankar, at least till the England game, and then maybe bring in Rishabh Pant, seeing what has happened in the knockouts, which teams have qualified, and then perhaps re-strategize a bit.
I think we had this discussion earlier as well. Probably Vijay Shankar is one option India is keen to, put their faith on for the number 4 position. I mean, it's very easy to, shuffle the middle order, according to a match situation, but Vijay Shankar for the first time came out to bat in the previous match at number 4. I mean, you've seen Hardik Pandya come up, you've seen MS Dhoni come up the order. But I think, absolutely. I mean, Vijay Shankar, one option they're looking to put their money on. And Rishabh Pant, obviously, full of promise. But if you were to have Rishabh Pant bat in that Southampton surface, do you expect him to, go and produce a fine innings? I have my doubts on that. Full credit to the talent of Rishabh and everything, but I think he's probably still not quite there. I mean, if you compare it to the kind of expectations people have from him. So at the moment, I think Vijay Shankar is an option India should stick to, and they're likely to stick to it because in both the practice sessions, Rishabh Pant. I mean, on Tuesday Rishabh Pant did not turn up for practice. It was only Vijay Shankar, and even on Wednesday, I think it was mostly Shankar who received all the throwdowns, and Pant came in at the last moment. So yeah, it's more or less, we feel that it's going to be Vijay Shankar.
And talking about the West Indies, again, we come back to the news that Chris Gayle has made a U-turn on his retirement plans. Big news that for West Indies, of course, Jason Holder in the pre-match press conference talking about the fact that he only came to know just before the press conference and he needs to have a serious discussion with Gayle and find out what can be done or what can't be done, what is in the best interest of West Indies cricket, whether he will play Test cricket or not, or how long for is he coming back in the international fold. But the fact of the matter is that it really lifts the West Indies dressing room. And look, Holder was talking about how these guys are facing up to the challenge, the fact obviously that they are no longer in contention. They can play spoil sport. It really depends what sort of West Indies team will turn up tomorrow. Will they come pumped up to take on India, or they'll just come here and, in true Caribbean fashion, just be laid back and get rolled over?
See, I mean, firstly, on the topic of Chris Gayle, all through the World Cup, every time we've been to those mixed zone sessions, every West Indies player we've spoken to, they've all had one thing to say: just how big an influence Chris Gayle is on the West Indies team. And then this is a team which has a lot of potential. You see, there's Shimron Hetmeyer, there's Evan Lewis. You're expected them to you expect those players to come up good, and they've repeatedly said that Chris is a big influence. And about this press conference, I mean, just a very typical Chris Gayle press conference, just dropping that big news. And so yeah, absolutely. Let's not see too further down the line, and let's not expect him to go too long from here on. But for the time being, I think West Indies would probably take a lot of heart from the fact that Chris is not going anytime soon.
Well, there you go then. It's India versus West Indies, and it is on Thursday at Old Trafford. India looking for 2 points. West Indies perhaps looking to prove a point.